Coming up tonight, as if the police this weekend wasn't busy enough with major crimes, law enforcement being called in to remove squatters from a condominium complex in Western New Province. Imagine their surprise when they saw who the alleged squatters were. Plus, will there ever be local government for New Providence? The answer is on the way. Stay close. And our Jean Joseph is about to open a door in the art world just for you. The bird's eye view is on the way when our news weekend starts now. This is our news weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. Sometime after 6 p.m. on Saturday evening, police were called into a condominium complex on West Bay Street. The complaint, squatters. And not just squatters, but high-profile squatters. Our Tanya Smith-Cartwright is following. Here's her story.
Officers at the Cable Beach Police Station were called to a condominium complex in Western New Providence to settle a dispute of alleged squatting. The condominium complex, owned by an expatriate, is on the market to be sold for some $1.9 million. On arrival at the complex, police met Warren Arana, a man known to them for practically the same allegations, squatting. Our News went to the police station where sources said both COI leader Lincoln Bain and Arana were being held, but an officer said Arana was there on his own free will and Bain was never at the station. We spoke with Arana, who claims his great-great-grandfather, Joseph Samuel Johnson, owns the land in Western New Providence and has claimed and lived in many abandoned homes in the area. He confirmed he was not in police custody.
No. I was not arrested. They asked me to come and speak on the matter. Lincoln Bain was not a part of that. So with his name calling to say he is a part of that, no. He was in a part coming to the station or nothing like that. But the persons who are claiming to that property. When we come up with talking about properties, it is a way to go about it. Don't talk, bring what you got. If you say you own property, here in the Bahamas we present papers.
Arana later told Our News that Bain was living in one of the units with others under an agreement between himself and Bain. Our News contacted Lincoln Bain, who agreed he had an agreement with Arana for one of the units, but not to live in.
They're saying that I was arrested for something yesterday. That is clearly false. That is wrong. I'm going to file a police complaint because that was absolute garbage. There was a business deal that Arana had on the building that he made an agreement, all right, to use the building for some purposes, not for habitation.
Bain goes on to say that he feels this is a direct plot of a political party because of the support the COI is now getting.
This is absolute PLP propaganda. Every week they have another fake story that they're putting out there that makes absolutely no sense. I think that they are disturbed and terrified because we had a very powerful rally yesterday.
Arana has been arrested on more than one occasion under allegations of squatting in abandoned properties owned by the National Insurance Board in Western New Providence. For Our News Weekend, this is Tanya Smith-Cartwright.
Police investigating a homicide that occurred sometime after 10 p.m. on Saturday in the Malcolm Road area. According to police, a male was beaten by unknown persons. He succumbed to his injuries in hospital. 22 foreign nationals now in the custody of the Bahamas Department of Immigration. Police Press Liaison Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings telling media that shortly after 4 p.m. on Saturday, June 3rd, officers of the Royal Bahamas Police Force Marine Unit intercepted a vessel.
Acting on intelligence, intercepted a white 32-foot yacht in waters just west of New Providence. This vessel had a U.S. flag hoisted to it. On examination of the vessel, the officers discovered 22 foreign nationals, 13 males, 6 females, 2 kids, and 1 infant. The foreign nationals are from the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Brazil, Haiti, and Italy.
Chief Immigration Officer Chad Adams says his department, along with its counterparts, have seen an increase in smuggling attempts since COVID-19, adding that quite a few minors have also been involved in these attempts.
In some of those ventures, we've had minors involved, and of course, we work along with our counterparts at the Department of Social Services to ensure that we handle those infants and those minor children within the laws and with the abilities that we have as with the Department of Social Services to ensure that they are safe and everything is done to their best, to their betterment.
Now, although the vessel had a United States flag hoisted, Skippings could not confirm the nationality of the captain at the time. However, she had this message for anyone involved in smuggling attempts.
Your Royal Bahamas Police Force, in collaboration with the Department of Immigration, we are going to remain firm. We are going to be relentless in our pursuit. And once we find out that you are engaging in human smuggling, trafficking, we're going to place you before the courts, and you will rightly go where you rightly deserve.
The law is very clear in reference to individuals involved in this matter. There's prison time and there's also major fines for each individual that you smuggle out of the country or attempt to smuggle out of the country. And both, as our counterparts at the police force said, we're prepared to do what is necessary to send a strong message to all, both Bahamians and foreigners involved in these matters.
Police also confirmed that a large amount of cash was also confiscated. Investigations are ongoing. And tonight, police have this update on a shooting incident that occurred shortly after noon on Saturday, June 3rd. The 28-year-old male that was shot at the rear of a residence on Cascarilla Street, Pinewood Gardens, succumbed to his injuries shortly before midnight on Saturday. Police are actively investigating this incident as a homicide and request the public's assistance in identifying and locating 3 men responsible for this incident. The 3 men fled in a small, white, heavily tinted Japanese vehicle. Anyone with any information regarding this homicide is urged to contact 911, 919-502-991 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. It is a policy aimed at reducing imports, expanding and diversifying exports, and strengthening domestic competitiveness. Tonight, we take a closer look at the Bahamas Trade Commission's role in the development of the Bahamas National Trade Policy.
Its vision is to achieve a resilient, diversified, sustainable, and inclusive trade performance. The National Trade Policy also seeks to empower Bahamian businesses to thrive in local and international markets and lower the trade deficit. Deputy Chairman of the Bahamas Trade Commission, Senator Barry Griffin.
It's identifying the opportunities for success for Bahamian businesses, Bahamian manufacturers, Bahamian exporters. And so when we talk to members of the Chamber of Commerce and local businesses, one of the things that they talk about is lack of access to information and lack of access to jurisdictions who we already have relationships with. And so that is primarily what the Trade Commission and the ministry is currently engaged in, to have businesses currently take advantage of what's already there.
Griffin adding the Bahamas currently has an economic partnership agreement with the United Kingdom.
We're engaging heavily with the United Kingdom to get Bahamian rums and spirits into that market, to get Bahamian agro products into that market, because these are things we've identified that our Caribbean competitors and friends are succeeding in. And so our thought process is, if they can succeed in these areas, we certainly can as well. We have conversations going with the Chinese embassy. We have conversations with the Brazilians. And so there are a lot of existing relationships, existing trade agreements that we think that Bahamian manufacturers and exporters can benefit from.
He says the Trade Commission is also working with agencies like the Chamber of Commerce as well as the Small Business Development Center to address issues like export readiness.
Through the process of identifying businesses who tell us that they are ready to export, we're working with the SBDC to ensure that these businesses are equipped to export. You know, it's one thing to say that I would like to, but again, different countries have different standards that your product may have to meet. There'll be branding requirements, e-commerce requirements, and so part of our job is to work with our local partners to ensure that our companies are in fact ready to take advantages of these agreements that are already in place.
Thanks, Jamila. Royal Beach Club at Paradise Island is being touted as the ultimate beach experience for Royal Caribbean Cruise Line guests. RCI's Chief Product Innovation Officer, Jay Schneider, says the cruise line is considering making a number of changes across the property under the advice of coastal engineers. Environmentalists have continued to express concerns about the proposed project. However, Schneider says the aim is also in line with protecting the area.
As we've made a series of environmental commitments, one of the most important ones is zero waste to landfill. So the trash generated from this property will never make it into a Bahamian landfill. And so if you think of the various commitments we've made, we've addressed all of the significant environmental concerns and gone far above any other tourist destination in New Providence or frankly anywhere else in the Bahamas. We've committed to not dredging anywhere in and around the island. We don't believe we have to. We've committed to no development on the northern shore, and then on the southern shore, only doing things that are necessary based on studying the kind of coral and marine life in and around the habitat.
Now, RCI released a report last week addressing many of the environmental concerns. A public consultation meeting will be held on June 8th at Queens College at 6:30 p.m., where Schneider says additional concerns will be addressed.
We expect a significant number of environmentalists to be there. They're all invited. The intent is to give the public the ability to ask as many questions and us answer as many questions as possible. Again, it starts at 6:30. We did one in September of 2021. The report you referenced was the exhaustive report to answer those questions in writing. We will have to do that process again, and happily will. So we'll answer questions in the forum, and then the public will have another 21 days after to ask additional questions, of which we will then publish another report with as many details as we possibly can.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, Chief Counselor for Crooked Island says residents of that island are taking hurricane season seriously and have prepared. Plus, will New Providence ever see local government? The minister responsible has the answer on the other side of this break.
If new, Heineken Silver was a riveting Viking saga.
Last the 12th, your family tortured my first wife and stole my second favorite goat. Now you want to marry my daughter. Okay.
All the taste, no bitter endings. Smooth, fresh, silver.
At Doctor's Hospital, our lamp just got brighter. The Loyalty Advantage membership program now has 3 unique plans to choose from. From Lamp Prepaid with free prime care visits and service line discounts, Lamp Insured with copay waivers and 0 upfront collections at the ER and inpatient services, or our new Lamp Access, a free plan that offers 10% off lab, pharmacy, and imaging. Lamp has a plan for everyone. To sign up, visit our website or give us a call. Doctor's Hospital, trusted and best care now.
Family Island Affairs Minister Clay Sweeting says government must ensure local government in the Family Islands are effective before it can be introduced to New Providence. Speaking at the weekly press briefing, Sweeting was asked if serious consideration is being given to the local government for New Providence.
For me, I think that we have to ensure that if we bring it to New Providence, that it is one that is molded and fit, that is going to work. So we have to ensure that the Family Islands, we've done the proper research that is working properly before we look into New Providence.
Last year, Sweeting suggested local government for New Providence wasn't a priority item. In the run-up to the last general election, the Progressive Liberal Party made several promises related to local government. Among those promises was the introduction of local government regime to New Providence. The former Minnis administration made a similar promise ahead of its election back in 2017. He explains where the focus is.
For me, local government in the Family Islands needs a lot of attention. We're trying to ensure that the councils there and the legislation is in fact something that is viable, something that is progressive, and that is able to fit the needs of the communities. So what we've done is over the past year, we assembled a 19-member team. They traveled throughout the Family Islands. They got the information they needed to help us to look at how we can empower them.
We are 4 days into the hurricane season, and residents are urged to prepare their homes sooner rather than later. Chief Counselor for Crooked Island and Long Key, David Ferguson, says he believes that residents are beginning to take that message more seriously.
We've been sending out notices to all of our residents, trying to sensitize them in the need of making preparation now rather than waiting. It's not like you live in Nassau where you can just pop over to a hardware store and pick up your plywood or pick up what you need to secure your building. It calls for a lot of projections and proper planning.
Ferguson says the local council works with their various stakeholders to keep residents updated through mass broadcasts. He says most recently, residents were provided with important information on evacuation and shelter protocols by the Department of Social Services.
It shows what is expected of you while you're visiting the hurricane shelters, what is expected of you during the hurricane and after the hurricane. It's all complete enough where you're looking at trying to protect persons and protecting their well-being during their time at the shelter. But we also add to that where we want persons to secure their private properties before they leave. So, at the end of the day, you have some place to go back to once the hurricane has passed.
He says the work of the council and the various authorities is an ongoing partnership that keeps everyone in a state of readiness.
During the normal time of the year, leading up to the hurricane, during the regular season, we continue with meetings to look at what you need to improve on and anything else that needs to take place before the start of the new season. So it's work in progress, and we just try to do the best. We have a command center, we have radios, we have some communication, we have satellite telephones. So we're pretty much prepared.
The Bahamas Feeding Network is still helping thousands every month post the COVID-19 pandemic. And a recent $30,000 donation from the Sterling Group Limited is making their work all the more possible. BFN Executive Director James Palacios says the network helps to prepare food for thousands of residents every month.
We package and then we give out to the various distribution centers who themselves do that. But we give about 3,000 packages per month, and of course that goes a long way. So there's always room for more.
Since 2013, the organization has been touching lives with their daily food program, and Palacios says entities like the network help to pick up the slack for many families struggling to make ends meet.
When you see the smiles on people's faces, especially some of the children who are really hungry. Many of our children go to school and they rely on the lunch programs at the schools for something to eat. Groups like ours and others really pick up the slack in providing much needed relief to these people, and we pray that more and more people would be motivated to come forth.
When Our News Weekend comes back from the break, 3 street ministry specialists are still at it, making sure the young men of this nation are on the right track. And details of the I Dare You project are straight ahead when Our News Weekend returns. a street ministry specialist with a long history of working with troubled young people coming together to teach others how to deal with similar individuals. Pastor Dave Burrows says the aim of the Reaching the Streets training seminar is to assist in reducing crime in the country and steering young people in the right direction.
We are grateful that we have seen young men who've come from the streets, come from gangs, and today they are business leaders, they are husbands, fathers, pastors, and community leaders. So we know that the methods and the strategies that we have used has already worked. And so what we want to do is share this information with the general public and those who work with young people so that the everyday person can know what role they can play in this process.
The two-day seminar takes place this June 6th and 9th at the Diplomat Center on Carmichael Road beginning at 7 p.m. And registration is free for up to 200 persons. Youth mentors and presenters Dr. Eric Fox and Dr. Carlos Reed are encouraging others to take advantage of the opportunity.
With this information that you will gather from these 2 days, you'll be able to take back to whether it's your workplace or to your church and formulate programs so you can have an atmosphere that you can bring these young persons in so you can start to execute change in their lives. So I'm advising persons who are listening and who want to register and just come on out, because this is a free event. Come on out, get some information. Once you get information, you are empowered. Information gives you power. Now you have power to help us bring this peace stand in our country.
This is a perfect opportunity for persons to come out and find solutions. No, you might not be a youth pastor, you might not be a teacher, but you're a parent. And every one of us that have to deal with young persons, whether in youth groups, whether on our jobs, whether they are our own children, we need to know how to reach the streets.
The I Dare You project is a program that recognizes students who, in their own way, are making small but steady improvements in their academics, behavior, attendance, leadership, and overall disposition in school. It is the brainchild of the Member of Parliament for South Beach, Bacchus Roll. Students come from the South Beach area from Anatole Rogers, Bahamas Academy, C.V. Bethel, and the Jordan Prince William School. This past week, the first recognition ceremony for the I Dare You project was held, highlighting 16 students. We spoke to the South Beach MP about the initiative.
We tend not to look at those persons, our young people in our school system who are trying their very best, and they're maintaining, and they never get a chance to be recognized. So I Dare You is simply a mentorship program where I'm able to mentor about 16 and then in the next year 32 young persons consistently in leadership, in life coaching skills, in education. It's a project, a grouping of individuals that want to be our best selves every day.
The project caters to boys and girls, but the South Beach MP says he has particular focus on the young men.
Just recently we saw at the University of the Bahamas, 80% of the persons who graduated were females. My intent is to try to provoke and inspire as many young men as possible. The Bible says the sick that need a doctor. And to be very honest with you, the males in our society are sick. And so they need a doctor. They need special attention. They need treatment to get them to where they need to be.
We had somewhat of a rainy holiday weekend. The weather report is on its way. Stay close. And our Jean Joseph gives us a peek into the world of Bahamas art, pleasing to the eyes. Stay close. The details are up right after this break. Welcome back. Bad weather always looks worse through a window. Let's see if we have any coming up over the next few days. Here's the weather forecast. world's wonders are all around us, but Bahamas houses a unique collection of magic in its art house and gallery, The Current. Join our Jean Joseph on an art walk with The Current studio and programming coordinator Matthew Ramming.
The Current is a cultural hub that supports and builds Nassau's growing creative community while highlighting Bahamian art through the Fair Winds exhibition, Echo, and the Bahamas Resort Foundation. The gallery also employs local artisans like studio and programming coordinator Matthew Ramming.
The Current was founded in the early stages of the development of the Bahamas project as a way to connect incoming people and communities with the community that already exists here in the Bahamas, try to bridge the gap between tourism and the creative industry, and I guess the creative culture of the Bahamas in its whole.
The Current features many free and paid offerings like art classes, the gallery and museum exhibition spaces, and the boutique, among others.
There's a whole lot going on. There's the Fairwind collection in the convention center and all of the artwork on property, as well as artist workshops, artist talks, the frame shop, Black Gloves, which is our kind of design and curatorial arm of the department. So there's a lot happening here at the Current, all centered around Bahamian arts and culture.
Bahamas, the Fairwind exhibition showcases a range of paintings, sculptures, and photography spanning nearly 2 centuries of Bahamian art from the early 1800s to today, covering various cultural topics. Featured artists include Brent Malone, Amos Ferguson, Stan and Jackson Burnside, Antonius Robert, Lynn Perotti, John Cox, John Beadle, and international artists inspired by the Bahamas.
Our director, John Cox, often mentions Jackson Burnside's prophecy that in 2020, the Bahamas would be visited for its art and culture more than sun, sand, and sea. And even past 2020, that has been a driving force for the vision of the Current.
The Current accomplishes a part of the vision by highlighting Bahamian artists through their recurring artist residencies, which are free to view.
Our current resident artist is Kia, and Kia is a musician as well as an artist, and her artwork is behind me now. She participated in the most recent national exhibition, and this is some of that work here.
The Current is open to the public, whether you're an art novice or an experienced art collector, and there are no barriers to entry.
There's a lot of ways to interact with the Current, and you can really find your own way at any point in the price point. So definitely come in and talk with one of the associates on the team, find out more about the artwork, find out more about what we do, and find out how you can be a part of the magic going on here.
If you're looking for a different experience, jump into the Current and let it sweep you away. Reporting for Our News, Weekend Arts and Entertainment, I'm Jean Joseph.
Thanks, Jean. And before we leave, we just want to send a shout out to our technical directors, Patrick Major and Harold Dorset, our silent partners who show up no matter what and make sure we have smooth sailing. Thank you, guys. And to you, thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of our producer and the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Have a wonderful and safe Sunday evening.